The moment that you think that you're going to be moving into her frame, that you're pedestalizing her, that she's the one that's going to make the decision whether or not you're going to be in a relationship with her, you lose. Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Striker. This channel is about dating in Ukraine. It originally started out on a journey of discovery to figure out how to get out of the Western dating scene and find a place in the world where there possibly could be a traditional relationship. It led me to Ukraine, a place now that I could almost say that it feels like home. And I learned a lot of lessons along the way. What I'm going to tell you today, if somebody had told me this 2 years ago when I started, I would have thought they were crazy and you didn't know what you were talking about. But I figured this, well, I wouldn't even say I figured this out, but I discovered it along the way. Only recently do I fully understand the power of it. And that is the power of indifference, and why you as a man that's going over to a country such as Ukraine to date has to understand this, and why you should always be indifferent. Whenever you're dating, you should always be indifferent, and why you should never ever accept indifference from a woman. So when I started my YouTube channel, I knew nothing. If you're bored, I mean, we're in the lockdown at the moment. If you're bored, go to the YouTube channel main page and go view the oldest video first, and you will see me just before I went over to Ukraine, and I knew nothing. I was making a YouTube channel to show my progress, well, actually to show my success, because it seemed so easy when it came to dating over in Ukraine and finding a woman, because all of these YouTube channels, they're telling you how easy it is, right? They don't want you to know the truth. They tell you how easy it is, just turn up, blah, blah, blah. You got yourself a beautiful, young yoga instructor, part-time doctor, part-time lawyer, woman from Ukraine. But it turned out that that wasn't the case. And I kept doing these videos, and then Luba joined me, and now we have this channel here. But one thing that I was doing from maybe a year ago is that people would want to talk to me about my experiences. And I was always happy to jump on Skype, and sometimes I talked to guys for like 2 or 3 hours about my experience and what I'd learned so far. And I kept on going with these videos. And now we have like proper Skype consultations, and Luba is involved, and we set up a plan for a guy. We know what agency he should go to and everything like that. That's only come from like 2 years of understanding this whole, not just this industry, but also understanding the whole dating process. And that came from my own experience of failing and failing and failing, and then making a conscious decision that I would try and understand relationships. And it led me down this path. I ended up reading all of these books, The Rational Male, Tactical Guide to Women, Corey Wayne book, following all of these YouTube channels. And what I know now is so different from that first video that I made on YouTube that time. In fact, I cringe about it, and I've even thought about taking it down, but there's something about that video. It's like where I came from, I suppose. The information that I give you is what I have experienced, and then what I learn later on, and I tie the two together. So you don't take my word for it. Anything I tell you, just take some little bit of information from it and go and research it yourself and have a look and try and understand it. But when I talk about indifference, when we do these Skype calls with all these guys, with you guys, a lot of you guys that follow us, there's something that's really wrong, and I can say that because I've been there and I've done it. And that is this power of indifference. And one thing that I've noticed, and I discuss it quite often with Luba as well, is that not being able to be indifferent and giving away your power to the Ukrainian, not just Ukrainian woman, I'm going to say Ukrainian woman, but I don't mean Ukrainian woman, to a woman, not being indifferent. And this happens so often, and it's really frustrating for us, because it's like, what are you doing? Like, this woman is clearly not right for you. You're having so many problems with her. Like, she's not what we would consider to be a woman that's got her shit together, I suppose. And what happens is that the guy is so emotionally invested from earlier on in the interaction. He believes that it's like his soulmate. And we call this is like referred to as one-itis, when you believe that there's one true woman that you've invested so much into this relationship, so you've poured in so much equity into this relationship that you need to get something back out of it. And this is where the danger is that women have the right to be indifferent. We do as well, but for some reason we seem to forget about that. But women have the right to be indifferent, and they will exercise that right at any time that they see fit. And this happens all the time when a guy's dating a woman, And she is like, I'm going to say out of his league. And that happens all the time in these Eastern European countries. And quite often that's why guys come over here, is because they get a woman that's out of their league. There's a few other reasons as well. But you will always end up with a woman in these countries that is out of your league, that is a higher quality woman. And I'm not just talking about looks, because there's a lot more to it than just how she looks. So if you are not indifferent and you've dated like 2 or 3 women, and one of those ladies, you're really taking a shine to her. You really like her. You like the way she looks. You sort of seem to connect quite well, and you feel as though she is the one. You become so invested into it. And guys even start to try to justify themselves to her in ways of buying gifts or trying to show that they would be a good provider, because deep down inside we know that that's what we have to do if we want to score the hot woman. And quite often guys, that's why guys talk about how much money they've got, or how many businesses they own, or how much cool shit they've got, because they want to show that they can be this good provider. But here's the thing, you have to remain indifferent. You have to not care. You could take it or you could leave it. Because the moment that you think that I have to have it, all of the power that you once held when you went over to Ukraine, when you had in your mind that I'm going to choose a woman that's right for me, that's beautiful, that connects on all different levels, we have the same values, the same goals in life, you give all of that away when you're not indifferent. Indifferent literally means you could take it or leave it. Here's the thing, if the woman has the power of indifference, you are the one that loses it. You can't both be indifferent. If you're both indifferent, the relationship ends. By you being indifferent, you get to control that relationship. You get to control whether it progresses or whether it doesn't progress. If it's on your terms, you are the one that's making the decision. If you are smitten, you are fully in love, she's the best thing you've ever seen, the best thing you've ever met, the best woman that you've ever had any interaction with whatsoever, but she's indifferent about you. She could take it or leave it. She just doesn't care. If she's indifferent, it means that she doesn't see you as higher value than her. If she did, she would latch onto you like a koala bear in a tree. And it may not necessarily be from anything that you've done, but more the fact that you are who you are. Okay? And I'm a very firm believer of not running down the path of fake it till you make it. You are who you are. The woman needs to come into your frame. If she's been spoiled by other men before, it's going to be very hard, especially if she's been really spoiled by men before. It's going to be hard for her to come into your frame. She needs a bigger frame, a higher frame, a frame with more money. You need to always be thinking about how does she fit into your life, into your lifestyle. The moment that you think that you're going to be moving into her frame, that you're pedestalizing her, that she's the one that's going to make the decision whether or not you're going to be in a relationship with her, you lose. This is where the power of indifference comes from. If you're indifferent about her, you can take it or leave it until you get to a certain point. And that certain point is usually when the relationship becomes intimate. Basically, you have sex or something very close to that. If you give up this indifference at an early stage, just because she's hung out with you, just because she's told you she likes you, just because you've paid for a trip for you and her to go somewhere exotic and she's come with you, but nothing has really happened, you've given up that power. And it's for you as a man to have that power of decision, that power to say whether or not you're going to be in a relationship with her is everything. With one of my girlfriends, when I broke up with her, it was actually kind of a little bit hard because I really liked her. But some things that she did and that she was doing, I didn't agree with. It wasn't in line with who I was and my goals and values. She was, I'm going to say, devastated. She was pretty upset that we had broken up. But at that point in my journey, I just didn't care. I was just kind of over it. I'd been through 2 relationships and I just didn't care anymore. And by not caring, I was given the power of indifference. And I didn't realize it when that happened. It was only now I can look back and this chick was hot. She was probably, I would say, the hottest chick that I've ever been with in my entire life. And I was indifferent about that relationship just because I knew I had the power. I knew that she was the one that wanted to continue the relationship. Can you imagine if it was the other way around? Can you imagine if I was the one saying, I really want this relationship? I lose all of the power. And this is where guys get caught out. This is where they trip up, is they end up chasing a woman that's not right for them. If she's indifferent, she doesn't care. Unless you can do something that's really spectacular or she can see another side to you, she's going to still remain indifferent. And you're still going to get nothing from it. The worst part about this is that most women already realize that they're indifferent. They get to make the decision. And that's the problem. And this come about because a lot of guys get into these it's like a little gray area between not a relationship and a relationship where there's nothing really sexual that's going on, there's no intimacy, and and she hasn't told him to basically get lost. He's in this point here. And they're so heavily invested into this. And they're invested like, not just emotionally, but also financially as well. And they want to have something to take away from it. You know, they've created this situation where they've put something in and they want to get a return on that investment. This is a huge mistake. If the person had just remained indifferent, they could take it or leave it. There are plenty of other options out there, man. Like just like, when we talk to guys, we say, look, you know, you don't have to settle for this. You are the man. You be treated like a man, know what you want, go out and get it, be indifferent. We really mean it. There is so much out there. If a woman is indifferent about you, it's time to say next. It's time to move on, because the last thing you want to do is look back in like a year or 6 months or whatever it is and think, man, I should have just jumped then. I should have jumped ship when that was happening, because she clearly didn't care. If she's indifferent, she just doesn't care. You are the one that needs to be indifferent. This is an important thing to think about before you go over there. Like, think about it now, while you're planning your trip. Have this inside your mind, have it ingrained into your soul, that this is who you are and this is what you're going to do. Have it when you go over there, when you're dating, even if she's the most beautiful woman that you have ever seen, you have no idea whether she's interested in you or not. And you want to have the power to be able to walk away from that. This is an important thing to learn. I learned it the hard way. Hopefully you guys don't have to learn it the hard way, but it is important. I don't want you guys to waste your money, your time, your emotions. Hopefully that helps some of you guys out there, whether you've been over there before, whether you're dating a woman and maybe you think that you should be indifferent, maybe you think that she's indifferent. Maybe it's time to move on, especially if she's seems not that interested and you're the one like pandering to her every needs. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys next time.